Hello, lovely people tuning into the live reality game podcast. My name is Sam from Survivor at IU. I am your main host for tonight's episode. Here to recap episode 8, the final 10 of Survivor 46, Hide and Seek. I am here with my very own Q-Skirt, very excited to talk about all of the great mishappenings that happened in this episode. I am here joined once again from my last podcast, a lovely guest. Not here to win 1 heart, not here to win 1,000 hearts, but here to win 1 million hearts. Harmony, how are you doing?
I am doing so great. I brought my own guest to the podcast. This is Potato Head Miku. If you don't know what this is, that's probably for the betterment of your life. Anyway, thank you for having me. Thank you so much for having me.
Joining me today is a special guest from the North Myrtle Beach Celebrity Survivor. They are not only hiding in plain sight, but they are using it to express their strategy. It is Shaw. Shaw, how are you doing?
Good. How are y'all doing tonight?
I am doing great. I am so happy and blessed that I am able to talk about such a wild episode of Survivor. What do you say we sort of jump right into this?
I don't think there's any other way to start this episode.
The last episode we left off, and which is the good spot that we started, was we get back to camp and we are talking about the outcast of Tim from from Tim going home at the last tribal. And Q is upset, and they're hoping that Venus is able to go home from the other group. And they are honestly shocked because it ends up being Soda. What do we think if you're Q and you are really hoping that this person goes home and your alliance on the other side has the majority? Are you still trying to stick to the 6, now 5 alliance, or are you like trying to break off from it? Shaw, what's your thoughts?
So I think the 6 is really good for a lot of reasons, because I think it's not 1 or 2 tribes dominating this alliance. They have 2 from each of the original tribes, which I think brings a lot of different perspectives into this type of alliance. However, these 6 tribes are not even, or these 3 tribes are not even. And I mean, 1 tribe got destroyed in the pre-merge. So there's only so much perspective that each person can offer. And, I think like Charlie said tonight, it's one of those, we've seen so many 6-person alliances that say they're going to get to that final 6 and it never happens. So I think the idea is nice. The layout of the alliance is nice, but I mean, I think it was destined for failure when it was created.
I really enjoy the idea of the +1. I mean, we've seen it done in Big Brother in the Onion Alliance, and how Hunter, Tim, former member, and Q are meant to be these strong players who bring in 1 person. And this can work. It just, you need to know that you have the core people, and you need to actually have trust, which in this game, it's seeming like Q is not trusting anyone. Tim is playing their own game. And we later see in this episode that they eventually oust their own member of the alliance, Tiff, because they threw out their own thing. But Harmony, I'm interested to hear your take on this.
I mean, I kind of just agree with everything that Shaw's been saying. It's like, it's in theory such a good strategy, but like it's kind of just destined to fail. Like, I mean, I think the theory is like, if like you could get everyone like to still be sticking to it 100% faithfully, like you control the game at final 11 if it's 6 people, 10 if it's, or final 9 if it's 5. So like you do have that like chance of having power, but I just don't think it's going to work out that way. Frankly, I just think it's doomed.
No, I mean, we haven't seen any of these exile or journey or island advantages or not advantages, but more so alliances ever pan out to be something bigger. We can say that maybe Mo was the merged target because they had never gone on these journeys and nobody knew who they were. But even all the way back in Tocantins, they tried to do this exile alliance, and it just never pans out to be good. But this sort of brings us to our next point of Tevin after they made this move against Soda. They are sitting in the shelter with Venus, and Venus is explaining, basically apologizing to Tevin, saying, I had to blindside your number 1. It was me. I had to mastermind them. And Tevin is nodding and very much playing into this emotional, showing that they are this actor who has been on stage before. And we get this great confessional of Tevin going, I don't have to explain myself. I'm going to wait until final tribal council. Shaw, like, what is the thought process if you're Tevin trying to keep your mouth shut, but also not grinning ear from ear.
Yeah, I mean, I think, if I was Tevin on the island, or if I was on the island and this happened to me, I would have reacted a lot differently. I think Tevin did a great job of not showing a lot of emotion and wanting to get at Venus, because I personally would have been like, "You're delusional. Let me tell you what happened." But no, I mean, good on Tevin for. I mean, it's dream management too, because Venus is destined to not go far. I feel like she could be taken to the end as a goat, possibly, but she's not destined to be stay in this game much longer. But I think Tevin did a great job of managing that relationship and letting her take the charge and take the credit, when really it's just a lot of false delusion on both sides.
No, I completely agree. I mean, I would very much have trouble being in that position and not like, hey, it was me, you dummy. But they did a great job. And then we get this confessional from Liz, who is mad at Tevin, which we later see grow into something bigger. But Liz goes on and says that Tevin has a big ego, and if he's really making these big moves, and he does a good job of not saying it to Venus's face, but they do say eventually to Liz, oh my gosh, can you believe Venus? They are so delusional. I did that move. Should Tevin have just stayed? I mean, we can say in hindsight, but should Tevin have even included Liz in this conversation? Should they have just sat back and said, okay, it is Venus? Because they say the right things in the confessional, but not so much in the game. Harmony, how do you react?
I mean, I think so much about that is like, when you're in the game, what you're saying is like in the heat of the moment. Like you're not so much thinking about it. It's like what you're saying to people, like those are your immediate thoughts and what you're thinking. Whereas in the confessional booth, like you've gotten like time when you've pulled over, you've gotten time when you can think, you probably have time to like think about it in the answer. So you have a chance to present a more like perfect version of yourself and your plans. So I mean, I think it's hard to say like they're being like perfect, like having the perfect thought in confessionals, but not on the island, because there's so much of a difference between those environments.
No, I completely get it. And especially with the lack of food, the lack of sleep, being fatigued from the challenges, I can totally see, like, even just for a minute, not playing your 100% best game. One of the things I was really fascinated with is very early on in the episode.
And if I could add something to this.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, sorry. I think there's a huge delay on my end. But anyways. Can you see me? Yes, hear me?
I can see. Okay. So you're freezing in and out. I think it's good
me?
now. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna keep talking. Okay. So anyways, to add on to what Harmony said, I think this is another example of Liz trying to insert herself where she doesn't belong, because Liz has no business commenting on this situation. And as she has said herself, her ego so big. And I think she is dying to get involved in this. And she truly has no business being in this. In my personal opinion and my time, I've watched every season, every episode of Survivor at least 3 times. So if what I have noticed is it's probably best for Liz to just sit there and be quiet and watch the entertainment, grab some coconut water. If I know she mentioned a list of things she can't eat or drink, but if she can have coconut water, she should just sit back and drink the coconut water and enjoy the show, because she's going to put a target on her back by commenting, Tevin's gone now. But if she went a lot further with Tevin, it could have completely destroyed and tanked her game, because I mean, she just doesn't need to insert herself where she doesn't belong.
No, I mean, you're saying all the right things. I think to the opposite of your point, I think that there is a point that Liz needs to step up, needs to make these decisions, because she's kind of sitting in the passenger seat. She needs to get in the driver and start stepping on the pedal. I think at the current state, from what I've seen in the gameplay and the edit, she doesn't have much win potential making it to final tribal. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of game left with 4 or 5 more votes in the game. but she needs to actively make sure that she's making big moves while still maintaining a positive jury presence throughout this game.
Yeah, I think
One of
there's
the
a
things
lot of people who have.
You're
I'm
good.
sorry.
I think there's a lot of delay.
I feel
Yeah.
like I did. There is. I don't mean to interrupt at all. So I think the big thing is I think there's a lot of people who are taking a back seat, and there's only like three, four people really actually having any type of control in this game. And Liz is in that group of people who have not really spoken up and given their opinion. But if someone's going to take control and take charge and really change this game, I truly in my heart of parts do not believe Liz Wilcox is going to make that happen. She can attempt, but I just don't think it's really going to happen. I mean, what we've seen of her is a hot mess express, and I don't think that she is the right person. You need someone sweet like a Kenzie who can manipulate someone. Liz is a very direct, upfront person. So I personally don't think she's the best person to confront about anything like that. But, maybe she'll be like Venus and don't care and does it anyways.
I agree on that front that the person who's going to win their $20th million is not necessarily the most empathetic, the most relatable person who you want to lead your alliance. She has to do everything in her power to make herself become the leader of an alliance if she wants any chance of becoming the winner of the game. But I don't think she has the social capital. I don't think she has the social skill. I don't think that she has the strategic sense necessarily. That being said, I hope that I'm proved 100% wrong because I love Liz as a character, as a person that I've seen on the show. But I'm yearning so much for more here.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, Sam.
Yeah. Well, now that we can get to it, one of the things I was sort of shocked was the new perspective on Q in this next scene. We talk about the Q skirt, the very fashionable and usable kangaroo pockets of the Q skirt, which becomes a recurring joke in this episode. But we get Charlie and Q and Maria all giving confessionals saying, oh, Q is just the lovey, funny guy. He's not really playing that hard. He's here to play hide and seek. He wants this all to be a joke. In my perspective, at least from what I would think if I was a player, he comes from the Disaster Tribe. He's built these alliances. I know that he has the +6 alliance. They might not all know that. He seems to be playing the game almost too hard to the point where even his own alliance was saying it's not the Q show. How do we, is it the right move? Is it the right thought process to think he's not playing? Or is this so obviously a ruse, the character he's putting on?
Part of it is I think on TV, we only have the perspective that editors are giving us, where it's oh, suddenly Q's doing all this crazy shit like the Q skirt. We haven't seen what the past days on the island have been like. So it's possible the Q skirt is not a new thing. This is something he's been marinating on since the very first day on the island. So it's possible that this persona of Q is the crazy, fun-going Q skirt inventor is something that they've seen more of, but the other editors haven't really highlighted it until now. So I think it's worth noting that perspective of what's going on in all 24 hours on the island versus just the story the editors are telling us.
I think there's definitely a lot they leave on the cutting boards. Even in the secret scenes, I still see Q as a strategic person. And we get a confessional from Charlie talking about in the very early mornings, Q sitting out on the beach trying to make his new alliance. And there's definitely two sides to him. It's just going to be, what does he turn on when he's near you? When you get to him, is he going to be this person who's just a character who's there to have fun, almost like Ben? He wants to rock out. Or is he going to be trying to throw you an alliance, telling you his closest ally is the next one to go? Shaw, what's your reaction to this?
Yeah, so I mean, first, going off the question you asked to Harmony, I really love watching the hour and a half long episodes because we are able to see these fun moments at camp, like Maria on the beach with her tribe salsa dancing. Like we would never see that in old school Survivor, and I think it's a great insight to see how some of those things and hide and seek, which I'm sure we'll discuss later. We just get these bonus scenes that we aren't used to seeing. But yeah, I mean, it's I really think he reminds me a lot of Danny McCrae, from a couple of seasons ago. I think he is a glorified recruit. I know Survivor doesn't do recruits anymore, but he has made a lot of decisions on you know they're strategic, but they're not really well thought out. Like it's one of those you need to take a second and decompress and really make the right decision. I think we see this archetype sometimes where they really jump to the gun and it's strategic in their own head. But if you've really seen the show and you really are a super fan, then you really need to think through this a little more before you start forming these 6-person alliances and waking up at sunrise to, hey, let's make a new alliance, day 16 alliance, all these different things. So this is another case, in my opinion, of a glorified recruit, maybe with a little more strategic sense than what we're used to, but it is very interesting to watch it unfold.
No, I never even thought about it from a perspective like that. I don't think that Q is necessarily a super fan. I'd have to go back and remember what some of his specific pregame interviews are. And trust me, I have one remembering thing that I know. But his definitely the way he acts in the game and the way he treats other people, like how he would almost talk down to Jess and Banu, telling them that they are like lower than him because they don't know the strategy, when we very clearly see Q is not the strategic powerhouse of this season. It's surprising that he's not only made it this far, but he made it that far in casting. So let's just sort of jump into this next section. You mentioned it, but we get this hide and seek in this very psychoanalytic game in that we are talking about randomly, but very specifically picking Charlie to be our seeker. We get 40 seconds on the boat. Everyone hides. Kenzie's found pretty early. Ben's found pretty, or not Ben is not found, but we have all these players who are found quick. And the first thing that really stuck with me was that Liz walks slightly deep into the jungle and finds Q, and Q goes, she was smart. Nobody else thought to walk into the jungle. Is there any point at all in saying this is like the strategic move? Or are they delusional from not having enough water and rice?
God, I gotta say delusional. Everything about that hide and seek game felt like a delusion to me. Like they were trying to make it as like some big strategic thing. Like, oh, this person can hide. They can hide in this game. Like, no, you're playing fucking hide and seek. Like, ain't no way you're calling that a strategic thing. Like, just no. Like, clearly you are delusional. You need some food. Go to your well, get some water. It's like, I just think they're going crazy, and that's why they saw this hide and seek game as what it was. But like, get a grip.
I think it's I hope I'm not disrupting anybody if it's a delay, but so I think it was very much delusional that these people really put this much thought into such a small game, a child's game. Like it was mind-boggling to me. Like I can't believe that Hunter stayed in the tree that long. This means that he's going to be a power player in this game. Jess hid under not Jess, whatever the girl that
Ben.
looks like Mariah. I can't even think of her name.
Oh,
Yeah,
Liz.
she. No, not Liz. They all look the same. Mariah, Liz, and there's one other girl. Kenzie. Okay. So Kenzie, when she was found, they were like, she hid so well we can't find her, and in this game nobody can find her and know to even vote for her. This is a real sign that we have to keep our eyes out on her. Like, it's this whole season is straight up delusional, and it really shows through casting. I mean, I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, we were at my watch party where we watched this, me and Sam, I kind of compared this cast to Gabon because it feels like a similar level of like train wrecks and delusion. Which, to be clear, not a bad thing. I love Gabon, funny ass season, but like some of these people need to get their brains checked out.
When
I
you
mean-
start the season with Jelinski and several and throwing every challenge, and then to Jess not playing the fake idol and not the shot in the dark, and all these other Banu and Randon and Jem, we do get this feeling that this is not the disaster tribe. This might be the disaster season, but as Harmony said, in a good sense. All right, so we do get we get another scene of Venus talking to Tevin about the whole masterminding soda elimination, but I feel we've talked about that enough. We hear Q flipping on Tiff, though, because Tiff threw out a member of the Six. I didn't quite catch it. I wonder if one of you caught it, but they said Tiff called out one of the Six. Who was that? I'm just missing it because I missed the scene.
I don't remember, to be
Anyway,
honest.
Yeah, it was the six was Maria. Oh, Maria and Charlie from that tribe. Then originally, I'm pretty sure it was Tiffany and Q. That was the original plan from his tribe. And then I think the last two members was it. Trying to think who were that third tribe.
Tim and Maria.
Yeah. Well, no, it was Charlie
Okay.
and Maria.
I think it was before this episode, it was Tim and Maria. And then, so I guess that's what I was confused about because they said Tiff tried to vote out a member of the
they
Six.
pulled Charlie in.
So I'm now understanding. So Tiff was the one who proposed trying to get out Tim. So this makes Q upset and they want to vote out another member of the Six because you can't call out a member of the Six, but Q does it their own way. So Q makes the big move of telling Maria about Tiffany's idol. I will say, I don't think, especially if you want Tiff to go home, it is a bad thing to tell others about Tiff's idol. I think it's a bad thing to say it before the challenge because they have a whole 12 hours left in the day, especially because Tiff could win and the whole power structure could flip. But is Charlie the best point to try and salvage this alliance and make it the Six? Because the Six they have already doesn't seem strong in that Hunter kind of wants Tevin gone and Q kind of wants Tevin gone and Tevin kind of wants to get Maria gone. Should we just give up or should we try and rebuild with Charlie?
I mean, I think the thing with alliances like that is you want some sense of having the alliance, even if it's not real, because I mean, frankly, at this point, the Six will never be that strong of an alliance. Like, it's too far gone, but I do think there's use in the game to like having it as like a sort of alliance where it's like an implied agreement where like you're gonna like target other people before the Six. So I think it is useful, like use Charlie as a way to like semi rebuild that and like not, get the full Six like fully trust back, but like what I'm trying to say is like maybe it might be useful to like get a little bit of fake alliance-ish going because that might be useful.
Yeah, I mean, I think it. Gotta love Wi-Fi. So I think it's interesting because I do agree with your point, Harmony, on any other season except Survivor Gabon 2.0. I think it's great to have this fake alliance to really get yourself together and your group and think about people like that's not my priority right now, they're in this fake alliance, but as you can see it doesn't even matter because these people are already targeting each other, they're not even thinking about it's already fake, like there is no agreement, they don't care. And to the point about Q and the idol, I don't really. I mean, I get it, but I don't like. I don't understand why Q turned on Tiffany. Like, there are reasons, whatever, but Q and Tiffany were strong going into the merge with whatever Kenzie. That three was a three going into the merge. Like, there was no reason that should have. They were a little worried of Kenzie about Kenzie, but those two should have stayed together. So now that he's throwing out his possibly number one ally is really the downfall of Q and what makes his, the uppercase Q go down to the lowercase Q. I mean, it's really, not a good move.
What a great way to put it. No,
That was genius.
man, I'm gonna use that one for the next intro when I do the finale recap with the crew. But oh my lord, does Q have any chance? We'll talk about that more about the finale. But let's get to this challenge,
All right.
which we see. I believe it's called Get a Grip. It's been here for a long time. I forget the first order, but it's the Jeff specifically calls out that the winning the record is held by Ozzy at 2 hours. I must say that when the challenge appeared in Cook Islands, it had very thick rope instead of these small indents. So it was slight advantage there in that it was a somewhat easier back then. But before we get to the challenge, we know that there is this negotiation they get to do with Jeff, which, if you remember on season 41 and 42, Jeff very specifically turned to the camera and he goes, "Hey, just so you know, if you're ever out here on Survivor, you should negotiate with me. I was willing to do that for 3. They gave me 4. What dumb idiots. How could they? They should have just tried." And then they go and they're like, "Okay, 4. What if we did 3 right now? What if we really promised and gave us our best?" And Jeff goes, "Nope, no negotiating except for if you give up your votes." So the two questions I want to ask is Jeff just lying to us at this point, and that he changes the rules when he wants and negotiates with the players he likes? Because I get the feeling he doesn't like this cast as much as maybe season 42 or 43. And the other thing is there a universe where you are willing to give up your vote? You're still allowed to play the immunity challenge, but you give up your vote for a bag of rice for your tribe, not just for yourself, but for the tribe.
I mean, I think with the Jeff thing, with the question, is he lying to us? Always has been, always will be. He's an executive producer. They lie to get what they want. If you think Jeff has been 100% telling truth the whole time, you're a little bit of a fool. But to answer the more serious question there, with the rice thing, the logical part of me is like, no, it's not worth your vote for rice. The hungry bastard part of me is like, well, actually, shit, like, if I'm on an island for 16 days, that rice might sound pretty good. I mean, I'm a weak person when it comes to food. So, as much as I want to be like, no, I wouldn't, when I'm on that island and I haven't had solid food for a while, I might crumble. I might crack.
Yeah, I mean, I think I completely agree with Harmony. I'm so sorry, Sam. I don't mean to do this on purpose. Anyways, I completely agree with Harmony. I mean, first off, I don't even know how they get to the top of that thing if they don't have a ladder, because this body's not getting to the top of it without a ladder. So I would be more than pleased to give up my attempted immunity for food, for a Coca-Cola, for any small reward. I would be willing to give up my chance at immunity, because there's no way I'm going to be able to hold myself at the top of this podium. There's no way. So I would have willingly stepped up. Now, I'm a big thing, like, I cannot stand trying to take my vote at every opportunity. I want my vote. So if it was a thing where you lose your vote, that's a different story. But if it's just rice for the tribe, absolutely, because more times than not, I'm going to take a bigger portion and you won't realize it. So I'm going to want to help make up for that and continue to have a bigger portion for the tribe, but really for me. So, I mean, it's 26 days. It's not 39 days. It is what it is. I love this challenge because it is an old school challenge. You know, Jeff, I think, forgets that he's been on this show for 20 years and not just 4 years. So he forgets that the whole old school Survivor thing ever was like a thing. So I think it's nice that Ozzy was mentioned because for some people, that is a figure of our imaginations that Ozzy was ever on this show because the old era doesn't exist. So it was nice for him to bring it up and kind of have a playing conversation, you know, with Charlie at the end, which was nice. But yeah, just an executive producer. He's going to make any type of rule he wants to, and there is no consultation with his team. This is Jeff's show.
So just to your point, that in a Reddit post 4 years ago, which is of course the most reliable source, they say that they use ladders to get up there, and then they remove them all at the very start at the same time. So Q only lasting 12 seconds, might have been 20. It just took them 8 to get the ladder out. So
Pitiful.
I wouldn't have done any better. I don't know about you two.
I would have lasted 5 if I was really locking in, really digging deep.
I would have been like Andrea. I got off the ladder and I would have plopped right down right when they took the ladder from me.
Break your legs, have Jeff walk over and check up on you. That was Michelle, I suppose. But I will say, Liz and Q, whether they threw it or not, have excellent game sense in that they both were out of this competition within 5 minutes. Maria and Kenzie were the next two to go. I do think that maybe they should have realized. I'm not saying Kenzie necessarily. I think that it was pretty clear that Maria and Tiff, with the type of challenge this is and their performance on the last one, I get wanting to play every challenge, but I think you gain yourself social capital when you sit out and you prove you're a team player, and it helps you in the final tribal. Hey, Angelina got the rice for the tribe, and that went great for her. But the fact that they weren't aware of it almost makes me more upset if I'm Q or Liz and that they wouldn't sit out. But the big moments the two big moments in this challenge are Charlie is in the last part, and he purposely slides down, and he's holding on by fingers, and he goes, Jeff, give me 2 bags of rice. And if I'm Jeff, which I am often Jeff, and Shaw, I know you're Jeff sometimes too. If I'm Jeff, I am like, you are not getting this because I guess you're going to fall in 30 seconds, whether I help it or not. And also, you kind of want the challenge to go a little longer. He does eventually drop, and then Hunter does this almost backflip that gets Jeff to have the medical team on speed dial. He's so worried that he just died on the pole. It's 2 breakdown things that we want to do here, and I want to hear Shaw because you're a fellow host. Is there any negotiating at this time, or are you in the same process of he's about to drop, I don't care? And then Hunter, like, is it not showboating that as a player you want to get Hunter out? Because not only did he just dominate that challenge, kicked all of our asses, and that I lasted 12 seconds, you lasted 25 minutes, however long it was. But he's also doing a backflip, and he's doing the Parvati of holding on one by one hand.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty cool to see their little antics at the end. But if this happened in my game, I would never even do a negotiation to start with. You portion your rice, and that's all you're going to get. I ain't giving you no more. I ain't giving you no less. That's all it's going to be. There's going to be no negotiation if you fail. Like in my game, Crystal Cox from Survivor Gabon, she was in my season 2. She stole the other tribe's rice. Go steal the other tribe's rice. I'm not negotiating.
Very much what was the San Juan del Sur, like Cassiopa tribe? Not off to a great start, it sounds like. Maybe it's a sign. Bring your rice to the challenge with you when you get on the close to these swaps. But Harmony, how did you feel about the showboating from Hunter doing a backflip?
I just didn't get the point of it, frankly, because it's like you won the challenge. Like, is it a good idea to show that you could have done better at the challenge? Because like we're at the point of the game where it's like people who are marked as challenge threats, like the second they don't have immunity, people are going to be like, shit, this person might have immunity. They're like, wait to the end if we don't vote them out. So I think by doing that, you are intentionally putting more of a challenge threat on your back because you're like, I didn't just win this challenge. I'm hanging upside down. And it's like, only on Survivor Gabon 2.0 would someone just blatantly do something stupid enough to like make themselves more of a threat than they already are. Like that's the thing. Like it's just stupid. Like why the fuck are you doing that?
It is not a good move socially. It's not a good move strategically. It certainly doesn't help you physically. So I'm still waiting for an explanation when Hunter hops on X after the episode. We'll see what he says. Yeah. So we are done with the vote and we go back to camp and we hear Q talking to this alliance. He goes, "We got the 5. We can get Liz. It doesn't matter. Let's get out Tiff. It's over. They're gone. They have the idol." And Liz, on the other hand, they've got their own ideas. We hear that they want to start their own game, get to the end, and we already sort of talked about this. They are pushing for Tevin to go because of the move they do. Q starts trying to flip the vote. They want, or not flip the vote, but rather keep the vote the same. And we hear a lot of scrambling. We know the game is about to go to tribal because the sun is down and the editors are helping us out. How close, I think, is it too early to rock the vote? Is it like we're at the final 10 here? There's a lot of game left to play. Do you keep Tevin around as a threat? Do you try to vote him out here? Do you shield him? Shaw, how do you feel?
Well, leave it to Liz Wilcox to try and do her own move and change this game. But I don't know. But yeah, so I think it's interesting to I think Tevin would have probably been he's one of my 3 picks for my fantasy, so I really didn't want Tevin to go home tonight. But he is a threat in this game. So I think it is important, to take that into consideration so you don't have to worry about that when you get to the next couple of rounds. But, I still don't quite understand why Q is on this rampage against Tiffany. Like, I don't understand it. I don't understand why he was under the assumption that everybody and their mother was going to be voting for Tiffany tonight. Lo and behold, Liz Wilcox just swoops right on in with her $20 million and tries to steer this thing into a whole nother direction. So I think it was the best thing to, let me read this. Hold on.
Literally what I'm saying. Like,
but
I would vote their ass out.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Like, I'm not winning against that in a challenge, so somehow on a fluke somebody else wins. Like, nah, you're going home. Because I have full confidence you are going to, like, clutch through the rest of the challenges in the game and make it to Final Tribal Council, like, playing an Aussie game. Or, like, I guess a Mike Holloway, because he pretty much won winning all the challenges.
So we'll hop into the tribal in a second. But the 2 things that I remember from Q's pregame, besides the fact that he has 17 siblings, was that he said, "I never want to quit. I want to make sure that my team is the strongest. If you even suggest quitting, I'll throw you under the bus as an ally and get everyone to play an idol on everyone except for you, just to make sure you go home." Very ironic in 1 second. The second thing,
the video of Sandra being like, "But I don't know about that."
The second thing I actually forget, but you brought it up. I forget what it was. What did you just mention, Harmony? I'm forgetting. I'm sorry.
Oh, I don't know. Wait.
Anyways, I remember they said very specifically they did not want to quit. Okay, that was it. They said they want to make it to the 6, and then they're going to win the final 3 immunity competitions. They're just going to comp out. And they said previously that they are confident they can beat Hunter in the last episode, which, again, after this, I don't know how you don't. I know this is what this whole podcast has been building up to. The tribal council, we get there, we sit down. I think we have one question, and Q stands up and he goes, "Jeff, I want them all to vote me out." Harmony said this in person to me earlier. Zane Knight 2.0, get me out of this game. Oh my gosh. Like, they 2 people said it, that it was the dumbest tribal ever. Is it what is the strategical process, Shaw? How do you quit the game? How do you not quit but tell everyone to vote you here and then stay?
Yeah, I mean it is. Q was the first thing. Yeah. I mean, I definitely think it has to do with some incompetence with Survivor. Again, the glorified recruit. I've said this again. I think I think the big thing why I think Q did this was because he's an athlete. I think they take it upon themselves a lot harder when things don't go their way, and they're taking one for the team. Well, this is not a team game anymore. This is an individual game. If your move doesn't work, you need to get over it, move forward, and start a new path. This is, I really, didn't he do this in the pre merge? This is like the second time he's asked to go home. Like, if he wants to go home, go home. Liz Wilcox is always here to save the day and continue to steer this game forward. So, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, why is he still here? Tevin, I think, is great. I would love to see Tevin come back again, and it sucks he went home. It also sucks for my draft again, I should mention. But I think that it really is, again, the delusion that these people, he asked to go home, which is one, very delusional, and two, they kept him in. So all of them are delusional. I mean, I don't understand the thought process. I love it. This is contrary to popular belief, or not. That's not the right word. Unpopular opinion. I love a live tribal, so I was eating it up. And then when Tiffany and everybody found out that Q exposed the idol, I was like, Q's going home. I was convinced Q was going home. Q did not get a single vote at this tribal council. Heaven did, and Venus and we have not talked about Venus enough in this tribal or this podcast, but I love Venus because I love a villain. I love a good villain, and we are not casting villains on the show anymore. Well, we casted Venus. She's not Saturn. She's not Jupiter. This is Venus. Like, she is here to play, and
She's
love
not
it for
Parvati
that.
either.
So she's not Parvati. And I think they're really not smart to keep her in either. There's just a lot of incompetence going around, and it's quite staggering.
Yeah.
No, you got it, Harmony.
Yeah, so to offer my, Sam mentioned that I called this Zane Knight 2.0, and the reason why I did this was I was fully convinced at first that Q, doing this was some strategic ploy, because I could not believe, just out of nowhere, he was someone who was, clearly playing the game hard, and he's like, oh yeah, I want to quit. It's like, I thought, oh, he has to be, trying something strategic here. And then no, he just wants to, leave the game, and it's like, I just didn't know what happening, but it was so confusing, but also just so funny at the same time, to be honest. I was laughing my ass off during this tribal. But yeah, no, someone else at our watch party mentioned this, but a theory is that Q wants to quit, but he's too proud to quit. He knows he's in over his head. He's not doing great mentally, but he doesn't want to be a quitter. So he's like, oh, you should all vote me out, rationalizing that as a way to quit, but not actually quit, even though, frankly, if you ask to be voted out, you are a quitter. That's just my take on all that. Don't fool anyone. You're quitting if you ask to be voted out. But I think it's this thing of he's too proud to quit, even though he wants to, but didn't work, buddy. You're still here. Nobody voted you. What are you doing?
So when Q makes it to final tribal council and wins 8-0, is that the first quitter to win?
I mean, I don't think he quit because he didn't get them to vote him out. He asked, but he failed, I guess. So, way to go. Congrats. I don't know what to feel.
Certainly a lot going on there, but we have to force it. We have to go to the vote. And I don't think there's much in the voting confessionals other than Tevin and everyone being like, oh my gosh, what just happened? But they talk and we get to the votes and it's 2 votes Venus, and I'm counting. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a crazy split vote. And I'm counting on my hands and I'm like, wait, it's 5-2. It's just all Tevin. And oh my gosh, what a way to go out. And Bandit Survivor and a couple of the other Survivor YouTube channels just made their big top 5 best new era tribal councils. I don't know how this doesn't get placed up there with the likes of Tori going home and Caleb getting the shot in the dark. This might be, I don't know. Is this, Shaw, do you think this is better, or like where do you rank this in comparison to the Caleb Tribal Council or J Maya?
Oh, I ranked this quite literally the bottom of the barrel because it was such incompetence. I mean, it is interesting. Just hear me out. It is interesting and entertaining what happened, but it is nowhere near the significance that Caleb and Tori's monumental tribal councils was. This was just pure chaos and incompetence. That was strategic gameplay. So that's where we kind of have to differentiate the two. This tonight tribal council could go down as one of the most entertaining and had me the most invested. Caleb getting lucky, I mean, it's just two different ballparks and it's on different continents. I mean, it's nowhere near the same.
I mean, I kind of have to disagree with you there, Shaw, because like for me, like, I love the strategic game of Survivor, but the reason why I watch the show is for entertainment, and on that criteria alone, God, this tribal council delivered. Like, as soon as Q said he wanted them to vote him out, like, I was at the edge of my seat, all tribal, like, entertained. And for me, like, sure, from a strategic level, was like everyone playing objectively horribly at this tribal council? Yes, pretty much. But, like, just from that entertainment perspective, I would have to rank it so high. Like, I was so entertained during this tribal.
Well, we've been talking a little bit about Shaw's draft. Let's talk a little bit about the LRG draft. I think I'm doing pretty well here. I'm on the red team, so I lost Soda. It's not exactly up to date. I do have a special role for you, Shaw, because you are the special guest on this podcast. You get to award 2 special players as the MVPs for this episode. Those players will get extra points in the draft. Do not be influenced at all by the characters who are underlined in red, because personally, I'll tell you, I don't think Ben or Venus are the MVPs of this episode. So who do you think deserves those extra points? And if you want to talk to Harmony, go nuts. I don't want to influence you, but who do you think deserves them and why?
No,
I
mean,
have a hard
I feel
time
like
believing anyone deserves these.
I agree. However, based off tonight's conversation, I believe we have to award one of those spots to the Liz Wilcox. I just think that she provided a lot to this episode, and I think Liz Wilcox deserves one of those roles tonight. Now, I struggle with the second one because, I mean, I want to go like really what I think, or they just deserve to be helped this evening. I mean, due to the lack of a lot of different things. So I think I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to give, because of how I feel, and I know we just said not to award this person, and I'm not in any way, shape, or form doing this because this is a person on Sam's team, but I really feel like Venus deserves some points tonight because she really shined. I mean, I'm not awarding anybody because their incompetence was entertaining. I think Venus shining as a villain tonight really just warmed my heart because I've not seen that really at all in the new era. I even debate Shan is not, Ricard is not a villain. Venus is a villain, and she has her own planet named after her for a reason. So for those reasons, I am going to award my points tonight to the Liz Wilcox and Venus.
Those are good picks, yeah.
Yeah, Harmony, if you had to pick someone else, what would you say? And just before you change it off someone who's in my draft, just know it's already locked in. I typed it. I sent it to Snyder or Dustin.
No, I'm aware I'm not going to change it, but God, this is difficult because I don't know if any of these people played well enough to deserve it. Like, honestly, part of me wants to give it to Q just for the joke, because like, wow, you tried to get voted out, but you didn't. That's a game changer move right there.
Certainly, I want to say we'll see him back on our screens one day. I have my doubts on if they'll even let him play, let alone he'll want to. Oh my gosh, there's so many people in the new era who we need to bring back. But of the casts, I think this one has like 3 or 4 people who I want to see as we're like 42, I wanted to see the whole merge. That is all I have prepared for notes and talk about this episode. Does anyone else have anything they feel strongly about that I missed or they want to go back and talk about for season 46, episode 8?
I mean, I just want to say I love this episode. Like, from a strategic gameplay standpoint, it maybe was not serving that, but just from a pure entertainment standpoint, we got the Q skirt. We got the worst negotiation ever. We got hide and motherfucking seek, which was sending me. We got that insane tribal. Like, this episode honestly was one of my favorites of the new era, just like out of a sense of I was consistently entertained when watching this. And like, strategy freaks, I'm sure, hated this episode because I think this episode may be shown as an example on how not to play Survivor. Because I think personally you could do the opposite of what all these players were doing in this episode and you'd be in a great spot. But just from an entertainment perspective, I love this episode.
I agree. I mean, I think that, I am one of the few people who love, and Survivor Gabon is one of my favorite seasons. And I did enjoy I mean, I am a strategy freak, but I really did enjoy the entertainment that this episode brought. It did leave me at the edge of my seat. But I think, we have so many different characters. And I think a big part of the new era is just the season number alone really jacks with my head. The first 40 seasons, you can pretty much you can say season blank, fifth person voted off. And more times than not, I can tell you their first, last name, their age, where they're from, their occupation. Like, it's bad how much I study it. Like, people have quizzed me and it amazes them. However, 41, 42, 43, 45, and 46 all run together in my head because there's a lot of the same people who look alike. Like, there's three: Liz, Kenzie, and Mariah all look the same. Like, they all run together, they all play very poorly. So it's nice to have these episodes because it really helps me get to know these people, and it reminds me of the old school Survivor days. So I think it was a great episode. I think it was a great recap. I think this was a great group of three, and we had a good time discussing it. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what the next couple of episodes hold.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna test you, and if you don't want to be put on the spot, I'll back off from this. But Shaw, you seem to be someone who's very knowledgeable at this, and this will probably be our outro for the podcast. I want to know, there are two people in all of Survivor history who are tied for the most challenge wins in a single season with 17, if that helps you. Can you tell me who either of them are? 17 challenges.
That includes tribal challenge wins, right?
Includes tribal, includes reward, includes individual.
Both is this like is this like old school era, or are we including new school era?
It could be in new school. I don't think any of the seasons in new school have 17 challenges, but
So I mean, people that stick out to me are people like Ozzy, people like Colby Donaldson.
This is single season, by the way.
Right. I'm just thinking out loud in my head. I'm immediately drawn to Survivor Philippines because they, Malcolm and Denise, although they lost every challenge. So, two people, most challenge wins. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say Ozzy's got to be one of them. Is Ozzy one of them or not? This is going to help me a lot.
I'll say one of them returned for a single season, and another one never returned.
Interesting. One of them returned for a single season. Could you tell me the season they returned on?
I'll tell you that they're a winner.
Mm-hmm.
So 2-time Survivor players is not Kim Spradlin. It's a little older than that. A little older season.
God.
Okay. Not. So it's Tom Westman.
It is. Tom Westman is one of them.
Oh,
I can tell you the other one just because I don't think that there's any idea this is going to come to your mind off of anything, but it is Boo Burness from Survivor Fiji,
huh.
who won a lot of the pre-merge competitions and then won 5 after the merge.
Good for him. Good
tied
for
at
him.
17. No, I just love that random
Yeah.
factoid. And I have to keep you on your toes.
Hey, it always helps. It always I
Yeah.
like getting to know the individual people and like those kind of facts. It's just so hard to keep track of who's won so many, who attended the most tribal councils, because that can go into a whole rabbit hole.
Yeah. Well, this has been a fantastic podcast. I'm Sam. I'm the host of Survivor at IU. Be sure to check out our first 5 episodes out on YouTube. We just finished watching filming season 2. Hopefully, we can get those out sometime either late this year or early next year. Harmony, what do you want to shout out?
Obviously, I'm going to shout out Survivor at IU. I'm part of the production team. Definitely check out our episodes. And once season 2 comes out, you need to watch it. Like, not going to spoil anything, but that season is about to be so good. You are not prepared for it. Like, strategy, gameplay, entertainment, it's delivering on all levels. And also, I got to promote my own Discord server. If you love orgs, you should really join it. We're a fun org where we change formats every season. Which you haven't seen much of because we're just starting up. But Reality Nexus, come and join it. First season's Big Brother. A lot of fun, putting a lot of work into it. Really hope you join it. It's going to be super great.
Shaw, what about you?
Yeah, so just check out our YouTube channel. You can just look up North Myrtle Beach Survivor. I promise you, it's the only thing that will come up. We have 2 seasons, all of the episodes from both seasons. We're only doing 2, so you can go check out all the episodes from the past 2 seasons. We've had 5 contestants from the real show and like 20 people, local celebrities from our area. Sandra Diaz Twine was on our show, Johnny Fairplay, Crystal Cox from Gabon, Chris Underwood, and Mariah from season 42. So if you like any of them, definitely check it out.
Well, this has been a fantastic podcast. Thank you to my 2 guests for joining me today. I certainly have a lot of fun hosting these. I'm sure Dustin really enjoys having me on the podcast hosted for him. I've been Sam Cohen from Survivor at IU. This is me signing off. See ya.
See ya.